This is a Zach Feldman Show replay on ZRadioLive.com.
The website music station Z Radio Live. This is the Zach Feldman Show. Joining me on the phone is an author. His name is Matthew Kenslow, and he has a brand new book called Unstoppable. Matthew, thanks so much for joining me here on the Zach Feldman Show. How's everything going?
Everything's going good. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to talk to you too. Tell us all about Unstoppable.
Unstoppable chronicles my journey through student teaching here in California. And I student taught enhanced mathematics in 2022 at my former middle school. And it also talks about my adventures in substitute teaching. And I just figured that my story might encourage a lot of people.
Yeah, and one of the struggles you've dealt with in your life is obviously dealing with autism. I mean, tell me about when you first were diagnosed with autism. And what kind of led into your mind what was going on there?
I received the diagnosis when I was 6 years old, and I was formally, told about my diagnosis when I was a freshman in high school. And within a couple of years later, I became an advocate. And that's like the moment I found out, it was the moment my life made sense at that point.
Why did it take you so long, to find out that, all the way through, all the way until high school to figure this out? For me, I have ADHD, and for me, it was early on when they realized that, I was too hyperactive to deal with myself. But, I mean, what happened that, it was never kind of brought up?
That's an interesting question. I'm not sure if I was told and was just oblivious of it. I first heard of autism from a Lifetime movie called Miracle Run when I was in fourth grade. And I remember asking my RSP teacher in elementary school if I had autism, and he kind of brushed it off. So I just thought for years I didn't have autism. But, I heard my mom talking to a person a couple of times, and it sounded like I had something, so I just asked my mom if I had something, and yeah, she told me about my diagnosis.
Wow. So was your parents kind of covering it up for you then? What happened there?
I don't really think so. I don't believe so. It's, I just didn't know about it.
So, now you finally, figured it out. You finally figured it out. Now you can live life a little bit more comfortably too. What were some of the changes that you made in your life, once you found out about the autism?
I remember, I think within the first year, I remember telling a couple of family members that that seemed to not know about it, and as an explanation to why some things were happening, like why I'm oversensitive of certain things.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's kind of weird because, they say that ADHD is kind of right in the line of autism too, and they kind of mix the two together because it's all part of the neurodivergent, stance too. What's your opinion actually on now we're here in 2024, people are now referring to this kind of as a neurodivergent disease?
Well, based on my observation, a lot of people use neurodivergent as opposed to neurotypical, more as a disorder. And I've observed that the statistics are getting bigger. Now it's, I think, 1 in 36.
Yeah, 100%. But what's your opinion? Are you for this new kind of I guess putting it into a group sort of situation?
Well, not for the purpose of exclusion, but for the purpose of awareness. I think if a person would need a diagnosis, then they should have it, because when I found out about my diagnosis, it made life make more sense and easier personally.
Yeah, 100%. And it definitely helps, not only in the classroom, but also, in everyday life too. It to know that you have these issues, it definitely, helps you get an advantage. For you, Matthew, I'm just curious too, what are you doing now to advocate for autism, in your classrooms?
In my classrooms and in the school, sometimes I get to briefly bring up autism. Rare times students come to me as a substitute teacher. Students come to me saying that their classmates said something about them. So I get to I get to have I get to have some talks, like some little talks with students about being kind and respectful and everything. And then as a whole, I go and do volunteer assemblies in Orange County, and I speak at schools and talk about my story with autism, and then I give a whole bunch of encouragements and then teach them how to include one another.
That's incredible. And that's got to be so fulfilling for you too.
It definitely is. It's like my heart, and then the compliments afterward, or the comments tell me that this is an important message, and that I'm not just speaking; it's actually resonating. So I spoke to 10,000 students so far, and 500,000 more to go.
Yeah, 100%. And you spoke to so many different outlets out there too, like Newsweek magazine. You spoke to ABC7. All about not only this book but also about your advocacy too. Um, you know, what is next for you in your advocacy? Are there big plans in the future?
My number one goal is to be in every single school in Orange County. There's several hundred of them, and that includes public and private. So, and hopefully more consistently too. I've spoken to over a couple dozen so far. And in the meantime, I'm just subbing and doing math tutoring on the side.
What got you interested in math? What was your kind of this is what I'm going to do for my life moment?
I Yeah, I've always loved math since I was a child, and then when I got older, I thought, what would it be like to actually teach the math and teach it in perhaps an understandable way to the best of my ability.
See, this is the brilliant part about you because like math for me is the worst subject I could ever pick. For you, it's the most compelling subject, and you're able to teach it.
Yeah.
So it's incredible. It really is. It's a lot of fun for you, and I'm really happy that you're doing that too. Um, what about math is kind of your passion?
It's hard to explain. To me, it's like putting puzzles together, like finding patterns and putting puzzles. In fact, I say now that when I was younger, I just loved doing the math, and I had no idea how to apply it in real life, like what it means. I just love, doing the math. And now in my older life, relatively speaking, I'm learning, the applications of math, and then I'm learning how to teach the math and the applications of math.
That's awesome. What is next for you, Matthew? Are we going to go write another book, or are we going to work more on the advocacy?
I think I'll focus more on the advocacy, and I have considered writing a few more books in the future.
Awesome. Any subject specifically?
Well, one might be a trilogy, because that's what I first started out with, a fictional trilogy about a boy with autism. And maybe I'll go back to it and perfect it.
That's awesome. That'd be really, really fun. And really cool to see too. For those who are going to just pick up the book today, what's the one thing you want them to get from the book?
Just that, if I was able to accomplish a rigorous program because it was my passion, like if I put my heart into something, then so can anyone too, if they put their heart and mind to it, as long as it's practical.
100%. And I agree with that completely. If you're passionate about something, and you want to go and achieve it, do it, and do it well. That's really what it comes down to too. Matthew, where do people find the book, and where do people find you online?
My book could be found on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or ordered at any bookstore or library. For Unstoppable online, I'd recommend putting Unstoppable Kenslow or Unstoppable Matthew Kenslow, since there's a lot of products called Unstoppable. And online, on social media, I post daily on Facebook and YouTube and TikTok under my name, Matthew Kenslow. And I also occasionally post on Instagram under my name too.
That's awesome. Well, Matthew Kenslow, thank you so much for joining me here on the Zach Feldman Show. Again, the book is called Unstoppable. It was a pleasure talking to you, and good luck with everything. And definitely come back when you have that next book, or if you have anything to talk about too. We'd love to have you back on.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
anytime. The website music station Z Radio Live. Back with more Zach Feldman Show.